Hello, welcome back to the 7 Minutes Podcast. This is host 1 of 3, Angela, and we're excited to have you back.
I'm Zack, host number 2. Also excited to have you back, and
I am host number 3 of 3, and I'm Robert. I'm a little sleepy today, and yeah, it's podcast time.
Well, I think we neglected to do this the last 1 or 2 podcasts, but may as well bring back the nice little opening icebreaker and talk about what we're drinking this fine evening. I'm a big fan of the Itoen teas. I've tried every single variety available in the U.S., including ones that are unfortunately no longer available. They were special edition. And right now I'm drinking the Oi Ocha Koicha, the bold green tea. It's not my favorite, but it is good. I think they're all good. I have my favorites, but this one's nice.
Have you dipped into any import-only Itoen teas at this point?
Well, do you mean the like the ones made for the American market?
No, I'm saying like have you gone
beyond
that? Like when I had to buy like import games from Play Asia.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're asking me. I'm sorry.
Some Imperial Tea Expo.
Yes. No. I mean, at least not that I know of. I mean, these are technically all imports, I believe. But no, there's at least one that I remember trying at the Cherry Blossom Festival in San Francisco back in like what year would that have been? Like 2011 maybe, or 2012, something like that. Maybe even 2010. And it was like a special, I think it was called like the First Harvest. It was just this really like light, refreshing kind of spring-like brew. And unfortunately, I guess it was just intended to be special edition, but they were giving out bottles at the Cherry Blossom Festival.
But it had like English labels, English packaging. It was like it was like officially made like by Itoen or by somebody. It was intentionally distributed by Itoen or their partners. Mm-hmm. It's not like you had to go to like some special merchant that specializes in weird tea imports to get you fixed.
No.
We haven't quite gotten there yet.
No. Although, around here in the Bay Area, the most convenient way to get the different flavors, like the genmaicha, the hojicha, those two are my favorites. Like, easiest way to get those is to go to Daiso. Like, Safeway has, like, the standard, like, just the regular green tea. But Daiso also has, like I said, the genmaicha and the hojicha, but they also have, like, the cold brew matcha and the, it's not the cold brew matcha, but the other matcha.
And Itoen also...
And Safeway also carries, like, the jasmine one as well.
Itoen also has, like, an American brand, right? Isn't like Tea's Tea?
Yeah, which I've tried those and a couple times, and they're fine, but I don't drink those. I stick to the Itoen.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm not drinking tea, as I think was the case last time we disclosed our beverages. Robert and Angie were both going non-alcoholic, and I was getting sloshed.
Slosh.
Yeah, maybe not quite. But also drinking beer, as I was last time. It's a different beer. This is Sierra Nevada Torpedo, which is like a double IPA or extra IPA. Not all that different from what I was drinking last time. Still kind of my happy place when it comes to beers. It's IPAs. Staying strong. My love for IPAs.
I am drinking a hot green tea. I forget what brand it is. Does anyone remember the box?
Are you drinking the genmaicha?
Yes. It's the one with the roasted rice, I think, in it.
Yeah. I can't remember. It's another one that you can get at Daiso in like the kind of like gray packaging, little boxes.
This one is the kind of yellowish green.
Yeah.
I have all 4 or 5 flavor variations that Daiso offers of their box of tea. Right now I'm drinking the roasted.
Is it Yamamoto?
Maybe.
I think it's a tea brand called Yamamoto Yama.
I think that's the one Robert's drinking.
Okay.
Well, if a Daiso representative wants to reach out, it's the one on your shelves.
Now accepting sponsors.
Is it roasted jasmine rice, I think? Or just rice?
You're drinking the green tea with roasted rice. It is the Yamamoto Yama.
And this is a live fact check.
Yeah, it is a live fact check.
It's very tasty. I'm concerned about heart health, so I'm making sure to drink more tea lately. Now we can transition to what we've been playing.
What have you been drinking with your hands on the video screens?
I have not returned to Days Gone yet, although hearing the news of Sony snubbing a proposal for Days Gone 2 has me wanting to go back into Days Gone just to spite Sony. But no, I've been playing.
We're both very spite-driven individuals.
Yeah, I'm pretty petty. No, but I've been playing Final Fantasy 14. I should also note, I don't say this because I'd just say it every single time. I play Animal Crossing every day.
It's always her main game.
To Zack's chagrin, but every day. But that aside, once I get in my daily chores and I give my favorite neighbors their gifts, I say hi, and I wait and see if Red is on my island. Then I've been hopping into Final Fantasy 14 with Zack, and I've finally reached level 30, so I'm no longer a stupid, lame rogue.
You're still a rogue.
I mean, I gotta finish the side quests, but then I'll be a ninja. Then I'll be cool.
Yeah.
I can't remember if we discussed this in the last podcast. I don't think we did, but I managed to get hold of not one but 2 packs of the Sacred Sanrio amiibo cards.
Mm-hmm. Robert was a hero.
I was very annoyed as I got up early in the morning to go to Target and wait outside. Angie texted me because she was up at like 5:30 in the morning. She tried to do it through the website, which I wasn't even going to bother with. But I had it in my brain, I'll go in person, and I just got lucky because the Target I went to happened to have copies in the store that people could just get, whereas some Targets didn't. So like my girlfriend, where she lives, they didn't have packs of the cards that you could just line up and buy. But I got lucky. I was very pleased. I am not a Sanrio person, but I am a Nintendo person, so I was like, I don't care. I want a pack for myself. Angie was first up, though. If I only got one, she would have got the pack because she's the Hello Kitty person. So I'm like, well, but since I was able to get 2, I was like, okay, I get to have one and I'm saving it.
Yeah, that whole process was just infuriating. I can't wrap my brain around Nintendo's constant need to create artificial demand when demand is already there for their products. I swear Nintendo just strives to do exactly the opposite of what their fan base wants. But I was up at 5:30 in the morning. I immediately and I should note, I am not a morning person.
No, she's not. And
I'm talking like I'm not even like a 8 or 9 in the morning person. I'm just not a morning person. 10, 11 is what I like for my mornings, when it's nice and sunny and it's not the crack of dawn. So this was hard for me to do. So I get up at 5:30 in the morning and I immediately open the Target app just to check. There's nothing there. The cards have not gone live yet. 6 o'clock a.m. Pacific time on the dot, which is when they were supposed to go live, and this is how it was supposed to work. They said you had to buy the cards, online either on the site or in the app, and then you would either have to go pick them up in store or have them bring it out to your car. That was how it was supposed to go. So for the first time ever, 6 a.m., I refreshed the app, and it's slow, kind of buggy, and I was just like, oh, here we go, because the Target app is never slow, never sluggish, and never buggy. At least not for me anyway, since I've downloaded it. So I put... The max was 2. You're only supposed to be able to get 2 packs. I put 2 in my cart, 1 for me, 1 for Robert. Go to checkout, it's 6:01. And already it's telling me all the stores in the area, they're sold out. Now, I knew bots are going to be an issue because none of these companies care about their customers or about making sure that bots don't take everything. But I was just like, there's no way that every single store around me, and again, we're in the Bay Area, there's a ton of Targets. There's no way they're all sold out. So I'm just trying, I keep trying, and then in my desperation, I go to the Target website, I try there, and then finally, I don't know, it was like maybe 10 minutes in, they're just gone. They're gone from the website, they're gone from the app. And that's when I texted Robert and I was like, I tried.
I think what I find frustrating about what's been happening lately, because I think we've talked about the Pokemon cards and how they've become incredibly scarce, and there are other things too. There's different collections that people have and that they try to keep up with that these idiots on like TikTok and YouTube are making it so that people want to like, oh, I'm going to get them too, and I'm going to post a video. And
baseball cards and football cards now.
yeah, so my frustration, like with take these Sanrio cards, I mean, manufactured scarcity is one thing. I get that you want people to be talking about it, that you want them to go out and get it. But what I'm frustrated with as a consumer is I look at it like, you're going to sell out that whole batch of the Hello Kitty cards regardless of scalpers.
Yep.
So whether it's a bunch of, just fans who are lined up outside the store, like when I was there, or it's some a-hole scalper with his bots, I look at it like, why would you want to cater to the scalper? Especially because, like, let's just say you take it from a pure greedy company standpoint. If the demand is there and your actual customers are going to come in, swoop them up, and you're going to sell them out, cool. Why would you not want to put anything in place to prevent the scalper? Because basically what I'm saying is if the scalper buys up everything, well, it's irrelevant because the regular customer would buy it all up too. So if you're letting the scalper swoop in and hoard them all you're doing is allowing that one jerk to say, I'm going to charge now, $200 for this $20 item or whatever the case might be. The company doesn't make any money from that. Nintendo doesn't make any money from it. And all you have is a bunch of pissed off consumers.
I feel like you're reciting an op-ed.
Maybe I am.
Yeah.
But all I know
Which is fine.
Is it's true. It's a message that needs to get out there.
I mean,
We should probably move on.
Well, I was just gonna say that the frustrating thing was not just the bots scooping up everything, but in our case, everything was the exact opposite of what it was supposed to be. Robert went, stood in line, waited for the store to open, and they sold him the cards in store, and it's exactly what they said they weren't going to do. So if Robert hadn't taken that chance and been in the position to do so, we wouldn't have gotten the cards.
Yeah.
So like the whole thing is just like, what are you guys doing?
Well, I mean, in that case, they're not. It's like, right, it's not Nintendo. It's just like if you have a retail operation like Target, you're going to get inconsistent behaviors from one store to the next. Robert, I know you weren't playing these Sanrio cards, and we've been trying to answer the question, what have you been playing?
Yes. So about that. This week's been a little difficult. I am a video game enthusiast, of course, but as our listeners might be desperate to know, there was a point in my life when I made a fateful decision. I was working at a comic book shop, buying all the single issues of countless Marvel books, even a handful of DC books here and there, and buying the trade paperback collected editions of them. I even was dipping my toe into getting the Marvel Legends action figures. And then I realized there was only so much space in my small hut. One thing has to dominate, and it's either going to be the games or the comic book stuff. So on that fateful day, I decided games. But I still collect some comics. Just the comics, not any memorabilia. But even the comics are now out of control. So I've spent the past week...
Let me ask one more time before shutting off your mic.
Hey, this is, we're having good conversation.
Yeah, that's right, pal. Anyway, as I said, I know that our friends in New Zealand and Canada and Sweden, whoever's listening to us, they want to hear this. This past week, I've been going through my collection and getting rid of comics that I deem to be, not super important to have. So I haven't really gotten to play too much. But I picked up... So after I filled 8 reusable tote bags, so for those of you who use tote bags, you know what I'm talking about, the little rectangles that we have at every store, I filled 8 of them. I got $23 from Half Price Books for this mountain of comics that I sold to them. So I used some of that money to buy a Game Boy Advance and Crash Bandicoot game on Game Boy, both Game Boy Advance games. So I've been playing a little bit of Crash, and it's actually really good. Though forgive me, off the top of my head, I'm forgetting which Game Boy Advance Crash Bandicoot it is.
So a Game Boy Advance Crash Bandicoot.
That's right. I believe Spyro was Season of Ice or something like that. And that game's, it's all right so far. It's not as good as Crash. Crash is more faithful to its PlayStation counterpart.
You been playing anything else?
I'm behind on Rise. I'm supposed to be leveling up so I can go hunting with my buddy.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, it has been a barren week. Just a little bit of Crash.
All right. Well, for my part, it has been, I guess Angie's answer is a little bit of foreshadowing on this, but I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy XIV. As of when we're recording this, patch 5.5 drops on Tuesday, so I've been trying to get stuff buttoned up, ready before that. Playing White Mage for the first time in a year. Still getting my bearings on that. Bard is still my main. I really go through phases where I'm playing a ton of Final Fantasy, like it's the only game I'm playing, and then for months at a time where I don't touch it at all. This is about it for me. It's just the one game, and I know I spoke about that last time I recorded too, so only so much new to say. Our topic for today's episode is not super focused. It's not limited to a single game, single series, even a single console. We are talking about arcade games. Because of our ages, the focus is probably going to be mostly on 90s arcades, but we're talking about arcade games more broadly, so that's going to include some Golden Age classics and stuff like that too.
And also just, our general experiences and memories of being in arcades.
I wouldn't mind kicking things off.
Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
So,
where did you first find yourself in an arcade?
So our arcade exposure, I think, is semi-fascinating. So meaning me and Angie. The two places where we would have first been exposed to arcades would have been Santa Cruz. Because Santa Cruz has its enormous arcade. It's been a while since I've been there. I don't know if it's...
At the boardwalk?
Yep, on the boardwalk. I think it's Neptune's Kingdom. And that had a bunch of pinball machines and a bunch of actual arcade, cabinets with games. And then the other, which is slightly more beloved to me, are the arcades in the casinos in Reno. So our family, we go to Disneyland here and there, but our annual vacation more often than not was to go up to Reno. Not being 21, our parents, of course, would have to find things for us to do.
Yeah.
So my mother is from Reno, and my father lived there with her for a little bit after they got married. So when we would go to Reno, it wasn't like being tourists. Like, we were basically in my mom's hometown. And so we go to the casinos, but we go other places too. So interspersed, though, were the casino visits, and my parents would sometimes take turns with one would go gamble, and then the other would be in the arcade with us. Or if we had, like, my aunt and grandma, they'd be hanging out with us in the casino while the two of them would go gamble. So it was this, even though it was a casino and gambling, the arcade was this, like, family thing we'd be doing in the casino. And same story where you'd have some pinball machines, but mostly arcade cabinets in the Reno casino arcades. So that's our arcade experience.
Are there any particular games you remember? I guess either Santa Cruz or in Reno.
So...
Formative, memorable, ones you played all the time every time you got the chance, or...
Now, I know that we're ostensibly a video game podcast, but I don't think you can talk arcades without at least a little bit of pinball mixed in. And the Addams Family pinball machine was a family favorite. My parents loved it for whatever reason, so we play that a lot. My favorite, though, was the Super Mario Bros. Pinball machine. That damn thing was just the coolest thing.
So cool.
They had all, the beautiful art on the machine, and then all the cool noises and everything. So that one stands out.
I was so sad when was one of the last times we went to Santa Cruz together as a family, and we found that they had taken out the Super Mario pinball machine. I would just desperately like to know where did it go, who has it.
Yep.
So I've seen Addams Family pinball machines a lot, and that's definitely like a classic.
Love
up there
that
with like
one.
the Terminator machine and
That was another one we
that
liked.
was another one.
Stone Cold Classics. I don't know if I've ever seen a Mario pinball machine.
It was
Yep.
based off of Mario World.
I think it was, is it Gottlieb?
Gottlieb, however you pronounce
I
that.
believe that's the one who made it.
Yep.
In terms of games, the interesting thing about the arcade, especially in the era that we all more or less grew up in going to arcades, is that for the longest time, the arcade in my head was where you would go and the games looked way better than anything at home. So it's like graphically, it always felt like the arcades were ahead of what was on the system in the house. Certain games stand out more than others, sometimes just because of the machine itself. So there might be people listening who are young enough that maybe they're just completely oblivious to what it's like being in an arcade or what these machines are like. But, like, for example, one that really stands out, or a type of machine that stands out, are the racing machines, where you're sitting and it's like, you know, a chunk of a car, and you actually have a steering wheel and the pedals, and then you have this giant screen in front of you, and you just go. And it, you know, for a kid especially, it's the closest thing to being in a car that you could get. So Daytona USA, that's one that I just stands out very much in my mind as a child.
Did you ever play any of the ones where you had like a motorcycle you were on?
Yes,
Oh, yeah. I loved
we played those.
I actually wonder if is this stuff, like this stuff you're saying about like the racing cabs, actually makes me wonder if anyone plays the Yakuza games, which have Sega arcades in them where you can play like these classic games. I wonder if anyone plays those and sees like the cabs that do have, you know, for like Hang On or Outrun, and think like that's ridiculous and just assume it's Yakuza being Yakuza rather than being like accurate to the time period.
Yeah, I'm sure there are people who are like, oh, there's no way anybody would make these. I do think it's kind of cool that there are modern places that are carrying on some of the tradition, both in terms of having these elaborate, cool machines, but then also like trying to keep the arcade vibe going. So like, if you're grown up and you've ever been to a Dave & Buster's, there's a lot of arcade machines in there, and has a little bit of that vibe of being in an arcade. Nintendo's done a good job with keeping Mario Kart active in the arcades with the GP series or whatever it is that they've done with Namco for all this time.
Oh, nobody cares about that.
Those are super fun.
They're cool. Like, to me, the other thing too with the arcade was like, it didn't always matter if the gameplay experience was like the greatest. Because, like, to me, using the steering wheel and sitting in the cockpit, like, it doesn't feel as fun and intuitive to me as using a controller. But it was still entertaining because it was this alternative approach to gaming that you couldn't do in your house. And even though I didn't feel... Now, mind you, this is my kid interpretation of it, but sitting there with the wheel, you know, I'd be crashing probably more often than not. But it still was incredibly engaging, despite the fact that, you know, sometimes these games are more simple or they're not as intuitive as what's at home.
Have you ever go to like a Chuck E. Cheese?
I think I went to a Chuck E. Cheese once. For a cousin's birthday party.
That's interesting. I like, you know, Robert, you're not that far off in age from me, but it does sound like we have very different experiences when it comes to like our history with arcades. Obviously I grew up in Southern California, so I didn't go to Neptune's Kingdom, but I do remember the Del Amo Mall in Torrance had I think it was called Aladdin's Castle, and it was just kind of, I remember it as kind of this dark cave-like space. I don't even remember what games they had. It was like, you know, late 80s that I'm thinking of it. So it was like, it's kind of a weird transitional period, like after the golden age of arcades, but before Street Fighter 2. And the only game I could say for sure that they had was, I think it's called Vampire Killer. It's the Castlevania arcade game. But I remember spending time at like Chuck E. Cheese, played a lot of like the Turtles game, the Simpsons arcade game.
Yeah, the Simpsons and the Turtles games stand out in my mind because they looked incredible.
And then there's also mini golf places. I remember going to like mini golf places in SoCal, and the one I'm thinking of, I don't know if it was in Torrance or Redondo Beach, but it had like a large, I don't know, it was called like Camelot or something. I don't know, some kind of Excalibur theming, but there was like the mini golf in this essentially this tremendous backyard, but then inside the house, so to speak, it's an arcade, right? And I remember like loving mini golf, but like really I just kind of wanted to hang out in the arcade, play Rampage and all sorts of things.
I want to give a shout out to two particular arcades in Reno that true arcade aficionados should know, though it has been years since I've been, so they might be deflated. But so for those of you that remember the MGM Grand / the Hilton / the Grand Sierra Resort now, they always had a really cool arcade in the lower level of the casino. And then the arcade in the Atlantis was always another really fun one. That one I remember playing Soul Calibur a lot in the arcade.
So my arcade memories and experiences, speaking of the arcade in the Atlantis, I was probably like 13, I guess, 13 or 14. and we had gone to Reno on vacation, and I was playing Soul Calibur, and that arcade was also cool because they had a really good snack bar, made really good nachos, and so my dad, he had taken a break from gambling. I think Mom was downstairs, and he was sitting nearby, just drinking a beer. He was watching me from afar, just playing Soul Calibur, and this guy walks up, and he had to have been in his early 20s, and he asked me, because I've been playing alone, and so he asked me if he could play with me, and I said sure. We had Soul Calibur 2 on the GameCube, and so Link was my fighter of choice, but I also knew how to play Talon pretty well, and Taki not quite as well, but I could play as Taki as well. And so since I didn't have Link, because the arcade version didn't have the 3 special characters for the consoles, I went with Talon.
Wrecked him.
I did. And I think we might have played, I don't think we did just the one round. I think we did a couple of rounds, and I just kept beating him. And he finally just took his defeat, and he kind of nodded at me. And I remember he was taller than me, and so he kind of nods, he's like looking down, kind of nods and goes, "Good game." And walks away.
What a probably terrible moment for him.
Yeah, because I think he probably, I mean, he may have wanted the arcade cabinet to himself, and maybe expected that I was going to lose, and I would just walk away.
Get this cute out of here.
Yeah,
Maybe, maybe it's even worse. Who knows what he'd been through? Maybe he had gone to like some kind of Soul Calibur regional meetup.
Yeah.
Got sent to the losers bracket. Got sent home. It was like trying to pick himself up. Because at least I can beat this child.
Yeah, I mean, he I'm not talking garbage about him. Like, he was a nice guy, and he was very respectful and took his loss. I just thought it was funny because that may have not been what he was expecting.
Yeah, maybe not.
I also, my favorite arcade game is Galaga.
Yeah,
I love Galaga very much, and I remember it was one of the last times we went to Reno. I sat and played the Galaga machine for so long that the score rolled over from, I think it caps out at 9,999.
It's got to have more nines than that.
It might be 99,000. I have a picture. I took a picture of it before it rolled over, but it rolled over to 0. So I sat for so long at that cabinet just playing, and then the score rolled over, and that was amazing. And we had, I think it was two summers ago now, Zack's sister came to visit, and she wanted to go to Santa Cruz, and I hadn't been to Santa Cruz in years. And so Neptune's Kingdom is more or less the same, just has some of the newer arcade games now. The Mario pinball machine is still not back, unfortunately. But in fact, I'm trying to remember. I think there are still pinball machines there. Yeah, but they had this giant Galaga Pac-Man machine they had. It was like a Namco.
Large screens. It was it was like a 70-inch HD TV size screen turned on its side.
Yeah. And people were fighting for that one. There was this lady who I think she was playing Galaga, and she was really into it and talking to the people around her, and eventually she lost, and so then I took over, and that was really fun.
It kind of sucks that arcades are massively on the decline.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's multiple factors. Besides the fact that the home console basically caught up after not too long, and then you have mobile, which kind of bleeds into that too. But the feeling of being in an arcade is very unique. Just the noise.
Oh yeah.
Where it's hard to pinpoint any one particular sound or song. It's just this cacophony of game noises.
Yeah.
Usually low light, not really lit up. Mm-hmm. And then the different designs on the machines are always entertaining. But I think it's sad because now, again, to reference like Dave & Buster's, if you go in, and also to Angie and Zach's point about was it Galaga machine you said with the giant screen?
It was like a big Namco machine that had a bunch of different...
There's a lot of cool stuff technologically that arcades try to innovate with that you don't really get to see and enjoy that much because they're so scarce now. But there's the Luigi's Mansion arcade game that has you can use the the Poltergust. I've seen the big Galaga machine. I think I've seen a big Pac-Man machine. Even in the mid to late 2000s, Activision was putting Guitar Hero machines into arcades.
Remember, you had a crowd. You had drawn a small crowd.
A very small crowd of, but see that's the other thing too is we talked about this last time with the Pokemon podcast with the idea of how people act like gamers aren't social at all. Well, arcades kind of fly in the face of that. It's like people gathering, they're watching each other play. Talking about editorials, I actually wrote a piece a long time ago for a certain site. I will not name them. But I had written about how arcades are really the kind of root of modern streaming culture, where you would go to the arcade to watch people play. And there's this performative element that's entertaining along with just watching the game. And arcades just totally embody that. So people sitting and watching you play Guitar Hero because you're really good at it. Or,
It seems like a bit of a stretch, but I get you.
Well, when we went to Neptune's Kingdom a couple summers ago, the Mario Kart machines had a big crowd. Because people had come with friends or whoever, significant others, family, and so people were, because the way it's set up, there's like, I think there's 4 cabinets.
Oh, yeah.
And then, all 4 people are playing against each other, racing against each other in real time. And so there was this big crowd of people, not just waiting to play, but also like cheering each other on. I won that too.
I have 2 solid arcade adjacent experiences that mirror this. One was, so anybody who's ever gone to Cal State East Bay here in Hayward and the Bay Area, there's the Game Zone area. And the Game Zone was basically like a tiny arcade, except instead of machines, there was the consoles. You'd rent out a console, I think it was like an hour at a time. And so I was there instead of learning and even though I had the system at home, I was like, I'm going to play Donkey Kong Country on Wii, Donkey Kong Country Returns. And I remember sitting there, I'm just playing. I'm not thinking about the fact that anybody's there. But the worker was behind the counter, and he's watching, and he goes, oh, so that's how you play that game? And I'm like, yeah. And he called his buddy and said, you've got to come watch this guy play Donkey Kong Country. So I had this audience of 2 watching me play Donkey Kong Country Returns. That was fun. Memory 2. So when the Wii U was being launched, Nintendo had these different in-person events that you could go to. And Angie and I got to go. It was in San Francisco.
Oh, yeah.
So this was great. It was me being an a-hole and Angie saving me. Because they had new Super Mario Bros. There. And people could play in this like little tournament thing. So we get down to the final 2 rounds of it. The second to last round, you had to play cooperatively. And for those who don't remember, with New Super Mario Bros. You could use the gamepad to make platforms for the person that you're partnered with. So I had told Angie, don't do anything. Just let me run through. So for that second to last round, she didn't. And I got through, and we got to the finale. Last round, I'm trying to make my way through. Of course, I'm about to die. And I already told Angie, just let me do it. She puts a platform right under me before I died. Totally saved my ass.
It was great because the guys who we were playing against, you would come down to me and Robert and the 2 guys that we were competing against, and they lost. And so but we still had to finish. It was like they were out, they were done. Robert just had to get through the last stage and we would win. And so he's going through and it was one of those, typical Mario ones where you're like, you're in the clouds, and then there's a bunch of holes and you're on these little platforms, and Robert was doing fine, and he just made a small mistake, and I just remember instinctively I just tapped the screen and little platform appeared underneath him because he had just missed his jump, and Mario was falling and falling. It was like in slow motion. I was just like, tap on the screen, and as soon as I did it and Robert landed on the platform, the crowd, because there was a crowd, they just started screaming. They're like, yeah! Everyone was so excited, and we won.
The timing was so perfect.
Yeah.
Because I remember thinking, crap, I'm dead. And I was like, all I had to do was get to the end. And that platform appeared. I was like, thank God she didn't listen to my dumb ass. And then I got to the end of the level. And we won, forget we won.
Oh,
some toys, I think.
I won the, this is when they first started making the Mario figure. This is kind of precursor to the Jack stuff.
Yes, it was before Jack's. I think they were Bandai or something.
It was something. I don't remember.
The red packaging.
Yeah, the red packaging. I don't remember who was making those here in America, but I got Shy Guy. I think Robert might have gotten Koopa Troopa or something like that. Yeah.
So, Angela, you mentioned Galaga. That was like your big favorite arcade game. You know, Robert, you kind of mentioned the decline of arcades over time. Galaga is, of course, I think the only game that's really come up that dates back to the golden age of arcades. Robert, do you have a favorite golden age arcade game?
I think I definitely have a soft spot for Galaga. I think it's a lot more engaging than, like, was it Space Invaders? Because it's not as slow.
Yeah, it's definitely faster.
Galaxian.
So Galaga might be up there. I do like Pac-Man.
Pac-Man's really good.
Dig Dug is fun.
Dig Dug makes me sad.
He's murdering everyone by inflating them.
Yeah, because all the little enemies are so cute.
Yeah, he blows them up like Hector Savage and the Naked Gun too. Does Donkey Kong count as Golden Age?
Yeah, it's for sure.
Yeah.
Donkey Kong's definitely fun.
It's good. It's good.
So those are my favorites. I guess I'd probably say Galaga, number 1, Donkey Kong, number 2, and then Pac-Man, number 3.
I would probably rank Pac-Man at the top for myself. Burger Time's pretty good too. It's a little tricky, but I like Burger Time also. I didn't do really all that much prep for this episode, but I did end up looking at like the list of the top selling or top revenue generating arcade cabinets of all time. And among the top 12, Street Fighter 2 is the only one that's not from the golden age of arcades.
Wow.
Now, I don't remember being in arcades or playing arcade machines earlier than like maybe 87 at the earliest, 88, late 80s, which is after the golden age was over. And like at some level we know this because we know of things like the like Pac-Man Fever song and people talking about the golden age of arcades and the arcade and the game Crash but like the gap between the arcades that we remember from our childhoods, which were not like ghost towns, but the difference between that and what things looked like before, if I can try to remember what I read, between Street Fighter 2, the original version and Championship Edition, Capcom sold like 200,000 cabinets of that, which is a lot for an arcade game.
Yeah.
It's a ton. But like Space Invaders or Pac-Man, I don't remember which was which. I think Pac-Man sold like 400,000 cabinets.
Wow.
And Space Invaders was like 750,000. I might have those reversed, but like just the point is like the top 12, everything is from the golden age except for Street Fighter 2.
One thing I would love to have. Remember, what was that pizza place called? 510 Pizza?
It's had a couple different names.
I know what you're
that's
talking
one
about.
of
The
them.
arcade upstairs. This is in Oakland, for those who are wondering. Downtown Oakland.
Yeah, Zach and I used to like to go there, and they had upstairs was all pinball machines, and then in this very narrow little space, they had a couple of multi-cabs. One was busted all the time, and then one worked. And then downstairs, they had one of those multi-cab tables where you sit on either side
like a
from
cocktail.
each other. Yeah, the cocktail. Yeah. I would love to have one of those, and I used to have so much fun going there with Zach, and we get pizza. It was good pizza too. I'd get a soda, you get a beer, and we'd just sit and play Pac-Man together. I would love to have one of those, but I remember it made me really sad because that place doesn't. It's a different pizza place now, but it did not take long. It was like a year and a half or something like that from the time we were going there and getting pizza and playing, and there would always be people there. Especially on the weekend, you have people upstairs, ton of people playing pinball, people wanting the cocktail cabinet, people even playing the multi-cabs upstairs. And then something happened where, the entire place just kind of went to shit. The pizza wasn't as good anymore. They even had the nerve to charge more for it. But then the machines started disappearing, or they were breaking and they weren't fixing them. And then they just closed the pinball machine room upstairs entirely. And then one of the multi-cab machines was broken, and I remember it ate our quarters, and that just kind of made me sad. It makes me sad how some of these arcades, that they just fall into disrepair and people stop caring.
It's interesting because that place wasn't really an arcade. Like it was, it actually, it did have quite a few pinball machines.
I had a whole room upstairs.
And at some point, I think it was even running like pinball championships. I never took part because I'm not really a pinball guy, but that's part of like, I think for a lot of people, the arcade machine experience was not going to arcades, but like other places, you'd go to a laundromat. And there would be a couple machines there. Or I remember going to like a Pizza Hut in Torrance, and that was the first place I saw Metal Slug. And like there was a burger joint close to my middle school that had Golden Axe Revenge of Death Adder. And that's just like, just running into random cabinets here and there is part of the fun.
Well, I think it's interesting because arcades, like, it's sort of like the argument of, the dedicated game console is going to die. Like, that's been a popular rotten gaming journalist take since PS3, right? Now, it might have had some credence during the time of PS3, but then PS4 came. And this is the last console. It's like, no, PS5 comes, you still hear it a little bit. With arcades, it seems a little different, though, because it is more of a trip. You are making that dedicated pilgrimage to wherever the arcade is to go play the games. And I guess that is a harder sell when it's like, I can play something that is just as good at home, if not better. But I feel...
You got to keep in mind, it didn't used to be a dedicated trip, right? Like, it used to be that if you wanted to play Pac-Man, you went to the arcade, or you had a weak facsimile that you could play on, like, the Atari.
Oh, yeah. That's why I had said earlier that, for a long time in my brain, the arcade was where the superior, visuals
It's not just
were,
the superior versions. It's like in the golden age, home console games were like by and large facsimiles of, or like ports of. Like you think of like the signature games for the Atari or the ColecoVision or whatever, they're arcade ports, right?
But my point is that it seems just a harder sell to get people out of their house, but especially to go to just play video games. But the mix seems to kind of work. Here are arcade games mixed with this other thing, so like food or it's a bar or whatever. And I kind of wish more people would embrace that because, I mean, for one thing, you have remind me the name. It's the people who are making these arcade machines, the ones that they're not full size, but they're like whatever.
I couldn't tell you.
Is it 1UP Arcades?
I couldn't tell you.
I think that's one.
I'm trying to look them up. But
I know like the 3/4 size machines you're talking about.
Yeah. Walmart's been selling them, but it's like back in the day, it was a lot more difficult to do the upkeep, right? In terms of keeping these machines going. Whereas now you have companies that are making them kind of a little easier, it seems. Anyway, my point is it'd be neat to see a resurgence of all this because there's a lot of value left in having these machines and the sort of social experiences you have with them and just the vibe of being in those spaces and playing those games.
I love that feeling. Like, thinking of, when Robert and I were kids, our washing machine, when it was on its last legs, it kept taking a dump every now and then. And so, we'd have to go to the laundromat with...
Shout out to Launderland next to the 7-Eleven, next to the police station in Alameda.
Yeah. And so, we'd have to go to the laundromat and they had a couple of cabinets there. I swear I remember one of them being like 1942 or something like that.
So they had, I think they were multi-cabs. Multi-cabs. And the games that stand out specifically in my brain there are Bubble Bobble, Bust a Move, whatever, and Metal Slug.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the first time I saw Metal Slug, and I couldn't stop playing it. It was incredible. Like, the visuals.
Well, it's just so cool having these experiences where you're not in a dedicated arcade, but, like me and Zack going to go get pizza, and we're there with other people that are, around our age or a little older, and it's just like, hey, you want to play some Pac-Man right now? Or, hey, you want to play some pinball right now? Or I went to San Francisco State, and in the basement, one of the things San Francisco State is or was known for, among other things, is the arcade in the basement. And when I was a freshman in college, it was just one of the coolest discoveries to just go looking for food, and I find this arcade down there. And Street Fighter 4 was new at the time, and so they had two cabinets next to each other, connected, so people could play against each other. And it was just so cool. You're on campus doing classes, getting food or whatever, and just here's this little arcade. And it was cool just standing around. I didn't have the confidence with Street Fighter to play against anyone, but I would stand and watch, and it was really entertaining.
I remember actually going out there because at the time, I can't actually think of an example more recent than Street Fighter 4 where I had to go to an arcade to play something that I wouldn't otherwise have been able to play.
Yeah.
But Street Fighter 4 hit arcades before it hit home consoles. and they had a machine at SF State before anywhere else that I was aware of. So I remember like taking a BART and taking a bus and going all the way out there.
Like you heard from the grapevine that there was
yeah, I don't know. It might have been like the Sure You Can forums, or I'm not sure exactly where.
That's
but,
interesting.
But you got it. Yeah, it was one of the first places in the Bay Area to get a Street Fighter 4 cab.
Yeah.
We had an arcade at Berkeley too. It was called the Bearcade. It's gone at this point, but
It's messed up.
I remember playing DDR and that's Dance Dance Revolution for anyone who might be listening that doesn't know the abbreviation. And what was it called? Guitar Freaks? Before Guitar Hero? I think it was before Guitar Hero. Konami put out a rhythm game called Guitar Freaks that only had, I think, 3 buttons on the fretboard. And obviously a lot more like J-pop, J-rock kind of stuff in the track selection. Yeah.
And there's a local, I guess you can call it a chain. There's only 2 locations, but there's a local arcade. There's one in Alameda. And
No, that's it now.
They closed the Hayward one?
Yeah, High Scores.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so it's High Scores. They did have two locations. They had one in Hayward and one on Park Street in Alameda. Sounds like now they just have the one on Park Street. But, Zack and I went there, and it was really interesting because they had the classic cabinets, but then they had some... I don't really know if they're official or not, but like
they're custom, but they're not official.
Yeah, like the GameCube one, and you could play like Melee, and Zack and I played the Super Nintendo cab they had. Yeah, the Super Nintendo, because we played through Mario World.
We beat Mario World.
It was funny because I didn't know that there were people behind us watching, and so when we beat Mario World, I heard like clapping. And I turned around and there was this couple. They were like, "Well, I can't believe you beat it. That's so cool." And Zack had actually been playing another cab a couple machines down, and he had played Mario 3.
Yeah.
So I was playing Mario World. He was playing Mario 3. He beats Mario 3, and then he comes over and we beat Mario World together. And so like that, again, that social experience is really fun, and like, being around other people who are enthusiastic and they're just there to have a good time, and we're just so into what we're doing we don't even realize that there's a couple people behind us watching, and I do miss those experiences of either being in a dedicated arcade or being in a place where there are machines and having just a good time with people, and like, because it can just be random, so you'll make a comment to someone about the game you're playing, or they'll make a comment to you. They come over and they're like, "Oh, you're really good," or like the guy when I was a kid who just wanted to play Soul Calibur 2 and never saw that person again. And
I think it's nice too because with the arcade you have minimal levels of douchebaggery.
Yeah,
because like with online you're anonymous, and so if it's the same Soul Calibur interaction but it's on the internet. Who knows? The 13-year-old might be bagging on the adult, or vice versa. You suck.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if you encounter it in person, it's going to be more acutely unpleasant.
Very intense.
Yeah.
You can't just like turn off the
the
chat.
Yeah.
But before we leave the discussion about High Scores, special shout out to High Scores Arcade. They're on Park Street in Alameda. Those people have been struggling. It's a couple. I got in touch with them more towards the beginning of the pandemic. They've been trying to keep their doors open. So anyone who is interested, they're still taking donations because the loopy nature of some of the COVID laws mean that you can go do one thing but can't do another, even though they might seem technically interchangeable.
So it just has to do with like the specifics of how their business is categorized.
Yeah.
So they haven't been able to open, and they lost the Hayward location.
Yeah.
This couple, I think they're from Jersey or something. They're from the East Coast. They went from like collecting the machines and having them in their like apartment to having this rather large collection now. And some of these machines are irreplaceable because they're either old or they're unique, and they're doing their best to just hang on. So if you're interested, look up High Scores Arcade. I don't know. Are we able to put like hyperlinks under our podcast?
I don't know if we can do hyperlinks because it's gonna depend on like the individual like platforms that this is hosted. I wouldn't count on a hyperlink, but we can certainly put like URL there.
Sure. At the very least, just Google them. High Scores Arcade Alameda. They have an active donations page. I don't want to see them go away because they're doing God's work.
Angela, you mentioned us playing together. We played Mario World together at that arcade. I'm actually curious because for me, a lot of those formative experiences, I think about like the classics of the late 80s going into the early 90s, and certainly before Street Fighter 2 became the biggest thing, and that was 1v1 fighting, which became the norm for most of the 90s. Like that was the big arcade thing. But before that, it was beat 'em ups, right? And those are co-op by nature. So you're playing. For me, I spent a lot of time playing the Turtles game, Final Fight, the X-Men game, the Simpsons game.
The X-Men.
Yeah,
the
X-Men
two
game.
screens.
My most played arcade game, if it's not Street Fighter 2 though, would be Captain America and the Avengers, which is a four-player superhero game by Data East. I think it was like maybe very late 80s, maybe 1990. In Torrance, we had a comic shop / everything else that comes with a comic shop, right? So you had like, that's where I got into Magic the Gathering and Spellfire, which is the Dungeons and Dragons knockoff of Magic the Gathering. But they had a couple arcade caps, and they would switch out what they had from time to time. But one of them was Captain America and the Avengers, and I had friends that would go there, and we played the game often enough that we actually kind of had sort of assigned characters. My friend Scott would usually play the Vision, and I would usually play Iron Man, and I think Jeremy would normally play Hawkeye, and just had a lot of...
Well, who's Captain America?
Steve Rogers.
No. Who played Captain America?
We didn't always have 4 players.
Oh, okay.
But for me, I think of arcades, and like one of the most prominent things is like the co-op experience. So I'm wondering if it like looms large at all for either of you, or did you play co-op with each other, or do you ever like go up to a machine where somebody else is playing Raphael, and you go up and like you put in a coin, you start playing Michelangelo.
For my strongest memories of playing arcade games with Robert was playing against Robert. I remember playing a lot of like Marvel vs. Capcom against Robert. But it seemed like he and I would often just kind of go in different directions.
Yeah, we'd occupy different machines.
Yeah.
But like, I hate co-op.
Yeah,
I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
And like, I think part of it is that growing up, Angie's young. There's enough of a difference in age that there's that skill gap.
Yep.
And so if I did co-op, that meant having to just like wait. And like, no, I'm not trying to say I'm great at games. I'm really great. I'm like the best. But for me, I am skilled at certain games. So like with Mario, like whenever, like, oh my God. So when New Super Mario Bros. Came out on Wii, all the talk was, 4-player co-op. I'm like, keep that the hell away from me, because no one's going to keep up with me. And so I don't like co-op. So the arcade, it was never about that. I might compete. But see, now again, I'm being honest. I'm not super great with fighting games, like Street Fighter. Now, Smash Bros. I'll destroy anyone. But Street Fighter's different. Never very skilled. So, like, I might hop in to fight somebody, or even Soul Calibur, but I'm, button mashing, just guessing at stuff. And, I mean, that was enough for me. I'd have fun with it. It's not like I was in a real competition, but...
Yeah. Man, that's really too bad. Like, I understand the dynamic. I do. Yeah, I mean, it's really a shame. Like, it's cool that the two of you had each other, right? But there's a downside to it, because I did have, peers my age and like my general skill level that I was able to play with, and obviously I was, just because of my age, a lot of these games at the time were like, this was the heyday of co-op back then, because of all those beat 'em ups specifically. It's a genre that lends itself really well to co-op. So I'm sorry that you didn't have that experience.
Yeah, no, all the beat 'em ups that I love and still play, they're all on the Super Nintendo, and either I was playing by myself or Robert was playing, and I was watching Robert.
I did like, though, the arcade beat 'em ups. We mentioned the Turtles before. Those two games are awesome.
Yeah.
And just speaking to the graphical difference between home console and what the arcades could do. Now, I think that the home conversion of Turtles in Time on Super Nintendo is superior from a mechanical standpoint, but visually, it was just amazing looking at those games. It was like so detailed. The sprites are so huge.
I also thought it was cool, the games that they had, you could play them on your home consoles, but they had an arcade counterpart, like Guitar Hero or Soul Calibur or Mario Kart.
There were, might have been Guitar Freaks. There were some arcade games where you could actually like bring your memory card to the arcade.
Yeah, F-Zero in the arcade was like that.
Yeah.
There's
Right.
AX and GX. And you can take stuff from GX and put it into AX or vice versa.
And I just think it's cool because, like we had played a ton of Guitar Hero, especially Guitar Hero 3. We were, at least I was a teenager, pretty sure. And so it was interesting seeing the arcade counterpart because it was just a different experience. And then, having that, like the experience Robert had where, he draws this small crowd because people like seeing someone who's good at the game or Mario Kart. 4 strangers just at random decide to jump in and we're racing against each other. I think that's really cool.
I do think it's a little sad how, by the nature of arcades, I mean, there's a couple things to the point I'm trying to make. For one thing, Japan has the far superior arcade scene, right? Like
Even now, like they're on the ropes too. Like COVID has resulted in the closure of a number of like old time stalwart arcades in Japan.
But like, I think what I get frustrated with is, for one thing, it feels like in Japan they can manage to have an arcade open and less a-holes coming in and just maybe like flagrantly destroying machines.
Yeah.
Like there's something about us here in America where it's just like, good luck with that machine not getting effed up after, an hour of being exposed to the public.
Yeah.
But
Maybe. They have more smoke damage though.
I can live with that, I guess.
I would much rather deal with the smoke damage.
But, it sucks because, in a way, arcade experiences are kind of, I think ephemeral is the word I'm trying to think of right now, where it's like, yes, there are home conversions, and I mean, like, Arcade Archives, love you, Hamster, and M2, and all these preservationists that are taking arcade games
and your money,
which is fine, and creating these great ports, but at the same time, it just sucks thinking that arcade, probably any number of the arcade cabinets anyone listening to this can remember playing are probably gone. Like destroyed in a landfill, or if they still exist, they're rickety beyond belief, barely playable. The kind of workhorse nature of the arcade machine means that there's experiences that will never come back.
That's not even where I thought you were going with this. I thought you were you're talking about them being ephemeral, and I thought that kind of tied into Angela's anecdote about beating that guy in Soul Calibur, right? Like so many arcade experiences are like in a particular place with particular memories, in a way that you're never going to be able to duplicate. Like a lot of them have like a scene involved. Like you could get a home arcade cabinet of Street Fighter 2, but it will not be anything like playing a publicly accessible Street Fighter 2 arcade machine in 1992.
It's a little sad too, because like,
well, it's not sad. It's what's beautiful about it.
Well, the memories are great, but it'd be nice to see that extend more to people of today.
You know what? I think that's my calling in life. I'm either going to open an arcade or I'm going to open a pizza place / arcade. That's what I'm going to do.
Well, it's just interesting because, I mean, not to harp on this too much, but
Zack is giving me a look. He doesn't think I can do it.
Think of just the average person who is spending their life having all this crap sent to their house. I'm going to buy my groceries and have it sent to me. I'm going to buy my shoes and have them sent to me. I'm going to buy this and buy that. And everything's mail ordered. And it's like, and you have this sad little existence just in your house. Yeah. Now, COVID notwithstanding, I understand that this past year and a half, there's a reason for some of this. But even before that, just these people where it's like, so you're ordering and doing everything to have come to your home to then do what? What is the experience you're going for after that? To go to somebody else's house? I mean, it seems like the only thing Americans are interested in doing is almost like, I'm going to go to a restaurant, maybe. Because even that, Uber Eats instead, right?
Yeah.
Even before that, like, the Amazon experience was replacing the Walmart experience, which was like, technically getting out of the house, but it was still, you were doing your own thing. You weren't really building up relationships with the cashiers or other customers. It's not like going to like a comic shop where you do often, like a small shop where you do have a relationship with the proprietor, you recognize customers that you've been there before.
I mean, even smaller chains, for example. So like there's CVS's all over that, we all can relate to having seen. Even those, by their nature, they're a little smaller, and you do have people who stick around. There are people I know at my local CVS that I've known for years just because they've worked there for so long. But just as you get to the point where get to the Walmart and there's far less familiar places, and then you're taking away the Walmart. And it's like, now you have Amazon. It's like, so maybe I'll get to know my driver who drops stuff off. Maybe. Like, it's just this odd insular thing that's happening. And
super soulless.
And like, I'm not trying to knock like somebody who's like, they go out because they're going to go to the bar or they're going to go to the club or whatever. But like, people seem intrigued by those social experiences. And then maybe you throw in, there's some arcade machines in some of them. Like, what is it, Soda Popinski's or whatever in San Francisco?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that a bar / arcade or something?
I have no idea.
Shout out Maria Morales, my friend. She's been there. She keeps telling me to go.
There's, what was that? The arcade that they opened one right here by the Fox. But
you're talking about Emporium.
Emporium. Oh, yeah. See, I completely forgot about Emporium. We went to the one that opened in Oakland.
Yeah, and then the pandemic happened, and we haven't been able to go back to it.
And, it's cool that at least you're getting a bit of that experience in these places, but at the same time, it's like, well, it is kind of grounded in a more grown-up setting. Like, there's kind of something nice about the innocence of going to an arcade. It's not that you have to be a child to go to the arcade, but it's like, I'm going here just because I'm going to play some games.
Yeah.
Or, whatever. It's just sad that the experiences are being ground down to where it's like, are theaters ever going to open again? And it's like, saying nothing of COVID. It's like, well, I can sit at home and watch on my 70-inch screen. It's like, go out and do things. Like,
No, going out to movies sucks. It's like way better to watch it.
See, this man's the problem right here.
It's a big problem. No, I agree.
You damn millennial.
I agree with Robert. Like, I worked with someone who proudly declared that she didn't own any flatware. And I could not, I had to stop working.
That means forks and knives and spoons for those of you who don't know.
Yeah. No utensils. She didn't own any. And I remember stopping working to eavesdrop on this because I couldn't believe my freaking ears. And even her, now these people were in the sales department, and so they're a few years younger than me, somewhat fresh out of college and more of the Gen Z crowd. And even her own teammates were like, you don't have any flatware? Like, you don't have any utensils at all? She was like, no, I Postmates my dinner every night. I'm part of the demand generation.
I think she meant the deranged generation.
Yeah, I was just like,
that she swallowed the marketing that.
Yeah. I was like, no, Jesus, dude, how do you say that with a straight face? But these are the people who, they don't want to leave their homes. They don't see any reason to leave their homes. Every experience is online. I will just order everything online. I'll pay for things like a DoorDash pass. I think it's called like Dash Pass or something like that. And then save as much money as possible on getting all my food delivered. I'll pay $14.99 for flash shipping from Sephora because I want that unlimited or that free 2-day shipping. Like any way to make these experiences. I'll have an Amazon Prime account, and so something like an arcade or like a pizza place with arcade machines or whatever. It's just not as appealing to these people because they just see no reason to go out. And
it sucks because you also have to kind of make conscious decisions to be active if you want to see these things not go away. I mean, it's like if you want high scores to stay open, you have to go to high scores. I mean, I guess you could just Venmo them money all the time if you want, but like, even with restaurants that you like, your restaurant, believe me, is better off with you going in and getting food instead of ordering it through an app because the app is going to take a chunk of the money from them.
Or do what people did for decades and call them up if they have a cell phone.
You actually call the restaurant, right?
Call them and place your order.
But anyway, we can harp on that all night. Returning to the topic of arcades.
If you guys want to found the problem with today's youth podcast, I wouldn't mind guesting on that sometime.
Believe me,
it'll be a lot longer than 7 minutes.
It ain't
I'll
even
tell you that
today's
much.
youth. Don't. I mean, believe me, I could rant all freaking day about them, but it's not even just the youth either. It's, you're 40, Zach.
It's
people
true.
in your age
range,
range,
you
too.
just outed him in his 40s.
On the subject of, I don't know,
I'm 50.
arcades, Angela, you'd mentioned Galaga earlier, and made it clear that you played it long enough in one setting to roll over the score. Are there any other games that you've really gone to town on or
Well, I would like to
camped out?
Make the point I was going to make because it's a good springboard, I think, for a conversation,
Oh.
which
Okay.
was, if you think about it, a lot of the advancements in game design and new genres, a lot of that was coming from the arcades up until a certain point. So if you think about Street Fighter, that 1v1 fighting game was born in the arcade, and where would we be without it? Or look at Nintendo and
well, that doesn't
now
mean...
Donkey Kong.
that doesn't tell you that it's still that fertile of a ground
No,
compared
but
to like
it's just,
mobile gaming.
It is interesting just to think about how that at one point it was so important.
At one point, it was not quite the whole thing, right? Because like even back then, you had computer games, but it was almost the whole show, right? And like I find the late 80s kind of interesting for arcades because it is the point at which things kind of bifurcate, and you have arcade games that are doing things better than home consoles, but you also have home consoles doing things better than arcades.
Different types of experiences in each.
Yeah.
So the question of...
Yeah, I'm kind of curious because like a lot of what we're talking about is kind of like broad strokes or like single memories we've had, but I also know that for you, for like Galaga looms so large, right? Are there other games that you really like spent a lot of time on, or maybe just like sat down for an hour or two and seen how far you can get? Or
I think Soul Calibur 2 was definitely one of them. Because I would sit and camp out on the GameCube for hours playing Soul Calibur 2. That was certainly one of them. I tended to camp out a lot on pinball machines. So I was at the Addams Family or Super Mario or Terminator machine for a long time. That was another one where our dad just liked to nurse a beer and watch us play pinball. He just enjoyed that, while one of the other of us is off somewhere, our mom's off somewhere.
One of my dad's greatest joys in life is going to the boardwalk in Santa Cruz and going to the candy shop and getting some gummy bears and having the gummy bears with his beer.
Yeah.
And then he'd either watch us play, or if it was pinball, every once in a while, him and my mom would join in and play too.
Yep. But those were the machines that I camped out on the most. I do remember though, in Santa Cruz, I would play the Marvel vs. Capcom machines a lot by myself.
Who's your go-to? Spider-Man?
Spider-Man, and I like the combo of Spidey and Ryu. Yeah, that's his name. Spidey and Ryu. In fact, I think that was pretty much always my combo. Yeah. Or Spidey and Gambit, or Ryu and Gambit. Some combo of those three.
Those games would just blow my mind. The Marvel vs. Capcom, Street Fighter vs. X-Men, whatever.
Yeah.
Because the sprite work was incredible.
Yeah.
And to me as a kid, because I love comic books, so it was this great synthesis of these two things. I just remember thinking Street Fighter and these Capcom fighting games are like the pinnacle of video games in my head because they looked incredible.
They felt that way at the time. I'll back that up.
I mean, Juggernaut was freaking huge. The Hulk was huge, and there was something.
Do you remember
just
seeing the first time I saw Sentinel?
Yes.
I was like, I didn't know that was legal.
Well, this is making me think some of a comment Robert had made earlier in this episode makes me think of part of a conversation we had in a prior episode where Robert was talking about games preservation, but not just the preservation of the games, the preservation of the experience of playing that game and how those games were originally intended to be played. And to Robert's point of, people aren't going out anymore and aren't doing anything and don't have any interest in doing so, these experiences they will go away forever, I kind of fear. Partly because, to Robert's point, a lot of these arcade cabinets are in a landfill. They don't even exist anymore, or they're super busted up and they're not being taken care of. Or the environments that they were in no longer exist. The pizza parlor it was in, the laundromat it was in, the arcades that they were in are gone. And that's really sad to me, thinking of how mainly now these are, and if you think about it, now these arcade games just tend to live on in ports and ROMs and whatever else. We're not getting, recreation of these cabinets more or less, with the exception of some examples, but I mean, you can even buy little mini cabs that you can put on your desk now at like Target.
Yeah, even the cabinet recreations kind of miss the mark.
Yeah,
because it's not in the arcade. Even if you buy like a 3/4 size arcade cabinet at home, it's like, okay, it's in your garage. And who's coming over? Who's going to watch? And
not only that, but the cabinets don't feel the same. Like the sticks and the buttons feel different on the newer ones than the older ones.
So shout out, I couldn't remember the name earlier. It was Arcade 1-Up.
Yeah.
And they are also doing God's work because they're recreating these machines and they're not as big and they do feel a little different. But I think what that speaks to is that audience is still there. I don't know.
Sort of.
I mean, people want to say certain things are just dead when I don't know if they truly are. Because at E3, now granted, that's the audience, right? Video game players. But the last time I went to E3 before the pandemic, Arcade 1UP had their turtle machines up. And man, the crowd to play these old turtle games on their 3/4 scale arcade machines, it was pretty epic. Yeah. And it was incredibly fun. And it was that feeling of people are watching, I'm playing the game, and people are surrounding each other.
Yeah, you can recreate that in special circumstances. Like, obviously, that's the right group of people to do that with. And it's also being presented, like, as an event or a novelty. So you get this group of people come together. But if it was just, like, I guarantee, like, a lot of the people that were at that show floor, like, probably have TMNT arcade machines somewhere in their metropolitan area. They could be going to do that. They're not, right? It's like the fact that E3 provided this special event. Right?
I'd just like to see somebody crack this nut.
It's not going to get cracked. It's not. I know. I'm kind of like the pessimist on the show, but like
you're the pessimist in our lives.
Yeah, we're rolling our eyes right now.
There's something like, I don't know. I think there's something almost beautiful about things falling away and becoming memory. Like, you cherishing them in the moment. You know, see, like, think of all the things. Like,
this is where Zack and I, and Zack and Robert and I think are fundamentally different. But just speaking for me and Zack, he likes these like sad story endings, like Final Fantasy.
The death of the arcade.
Like the Final Fantasy ending of like 10, you know, or like sad endings in games. And I'm like, man, that was sad. That was depressing. And he's like, no, it's beautiful.
I'm not talking about fiction. I'm saying,
I'm just saying, that's where this train of thought is, like, I can see the thread.
No, it's not. There are things in life that are just ephemeral by nature.
Zack loves the delicate nature of it, that it existed, and if you were there, you can remember it, and then it's
But that's part of what makes it special in the moment. Yeah. You know? Mm-hmm. Like, if it can be repackaged and resold to you and have it be the same as it was before, then it's not as precious. Like, the things that make your memories precious are the things that are, like, specific to you, right?
Well, I mean,
like, the memory you had, both of you, with the Wii U version of Super Mario Bros. Whatever. Right?
Super Mario Bros. U.
That memory is a precious memory, and it will remain precious, even though you're never going to, ever in your life going to go to an event where people are playing the Wii U version of a game competitively.
Well, it was the uber secret invite only Nintendo hosted preview event for the Wii U, so of course it's never going to happen again.
Well, to Zach's point, I mean, your memories of it will never cease to be special, even if, let's say, arcades were just as popular now as they were then. I mean, everybody, I think, has certain things that maybe they do and then stop doing, and your memories of it will always be precious. I don't think it becomes more precious just because it's, well, maybe it adds another layer to it. But it's like, if the arcades existed as they did then, it's not going to invalidate how precious that memory is to you.
Mm-hmm. No, but I mean, like, if you think of, like, all the fads that have passed in and out of fashion over time.
If I could just cut you off real quick, I think it's a similar mindset. It's like 90s nostalgia, right? Mm-hmm. Where like, oh, here's a line of this clothing brand that's a throwback to that look from the 90s. Mm-hmm. It's still not that actual thing from the 90s. So
that's not exactly what I was talking about. Like,
look, Zach, you like depressing things, okay?
I like rich experiences, emotionally rich experiences.
Depressing experiences, sad sack music in Final Fantasy XIV.
You know, I'm putting up with a lot right now. Some
Let
might
him
say
finish.
Abuse.
He's gonna rebuke my 90s comparison.
Well, like, no, I'm thinking about more like experiences or cultures, right? There used to be a time when a lot of people went and did like roller derby. There used to be a time when a lot of people would go to like.
It made a little bit of a comeback though.
Sure, like these things don't die out. They don't die out. You can still find drive-ins. They become niche though. Like, it's no longer like the thing. A culture is born, it flourishes, and it doesn't disappear completely, but it's just never going to be what it is again. I'm not going to try and tell you that you should like embrace TikTok culture or whatever as like a replacement for arcade culture or whatever. But, you know, we've had our own journey with our own cultures and our own subcultures and our own things that we've gotten to engage with. And those are always going to be precious to us. Things can't stay the same for any number of reasons. Aladdin's Castle.
Says you.
Not just says me. Like, it's observable. Aladdin's Castle is no longer at Del Amo Mall in Torrance. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is.
You have disposable income. Go reopen it.
Robert,
Oh.
this is the same thing I tell Angela when because like Angela will be like, you have so much money in Final Fantasy 14. How are you like not just spending it left and right on all these things that you have some interest in? And I'm like, if I did that, I wouldn't have all that money.
So anyway,
So
I think that I don't disagree with Zach. I just think it's a difference in perspective. Because like for me, preservation is really important with video games. And I'm a little annoyed because I'm like kind of sitting here and I'm seeing more and more people talking about it. I'm just like, hey, that was my idea first. I, who contributed nothing to it. I thought of it before all of you.
Sorry, what did you think of first? What was
Game preservation.
You didn't invent game preservation.
From the words of Angie, says you. If Al Gore could invent the internet, I invented game preservation.
Did Al Gore never claimed he invented the internet?
you don't know.
I do.
He's a deceiver. I do think preservation is important, and I like the idea of these things continuing, or if not continuing as they were, at least maybe being slightly reinvented. I was at GDC. This probably was the last GDC that had happened, whenever that was, 2 years ago now. And I don't know if it was a new invention, but it was the first time I'd ever seen it. And I don't know if it was Arcade 1-Up, but somebody is making these Pong coffee table kind of things. Or what do you guys call them? The
cocktail
tables?
Cocktail cabinet.
And man, it was super cool because instead of being digital, every bit of the game was physical. So it was this physical square that moved across the top of the table. And it was just so neat to look at. And it was Pong, so I'm assuming it wasn't that taxing to get this thing up and running. But that was something where I'm like, that's super cool. And if you put that in a bar or in a restaurant, people will flock to it and just kind of hang out and play it. And I don't see any harm in, like, if you can get people to do something old in kind of a new way, I think there's merit to it. I think it's kind of fun. Now, is it going to be the same as your experience at like the mall in your hometown? No, but
it's going to be a new experience, which could be valuable for its own sake. Like, those hipsters deserve memories too.
Deserve memories as though they have none.
Well, I just like
just this void in their heads.
Who was the audience for like this handcrafted artisanal Pong?
I played it and wanted it and would like to play it again.
Well,
Robert's about as anti-hipster as you can.
Yeah, that's right.
It says you.
Just because I'm drinking my green tea from Daiso doesn't mean I'm hipster. In my presumably Japanese little mug.
Yeah, I cracked a beer. Angie cracked open a can of tea. You did this whole pretentious ritual.
Pretentious?
Is that not even pretentious, right? That's a bag of tea.
Well, that's all
not
that's being
even
offered here.
So what?
It's not even loose leaf. It's going through this whole tea ritual, and it's just
You have said a lot of elitist things.
Yeah.
That is one of the most elitist things.
I was willing to spend $25 on a can of loose leaf tea at Pete's the other day.
Oh, yeah.
It was quite shameful, but, I had a $20 bill in my pocket, and I was like, you know what? It's not actually coming out of the bank account at this point, so I'm going to pretend it doesn't count.
Have you ever had... Can you even, like, imagine in your mind what it would feel like to have currency in your pocket that wasn't burning a hole in it?
My friend, tea is delicious.
I'm glad.
In fact, shout out Pete's with those tea shakers. Man, they're good. I've had every flavor now. I love every one of them.
Have either of you ever wanted, on the subject of money burning a hole in your pocket, ever wanted an arcade cabinet at home?
Yes.
Although I've heard horror stories about how expensive it is in terms of power.
Yeah.
But I think that's if you have it on all damn day.
Yeah.
But
Like I had mentioned earlier that I would like to get a cocktail cabinet for our for our house that maybe one day we'll have, one day we won't. I don't know.
That's what makes the 3/4 machines kind of cool. They're less expensive to run. They fit better in your home. But, in terms of like, I want an actual freaking cabinet with metal slug in it, I would do it.
I've had mixed feelings about it. Like, I thought it would be cool, but I don't know how much I'd use it. It is frankly comfy sitting on a couch playing a game.
Well, that's like Power A sent Nintendo Joe their fight pad thing. Yeah, the fight stick. It's this beautiful red stick. I think it's built well. I'm not an expert. Read my review. But it's cool because it's like, hey, I've got this arcade stick with the buttons here, and I fired up a bunch of the Arcade Archives games and was playing with the stick, and it felt really fun playing that way. But also, now maybe it's just my current setup in my home. I haven't grabbed the thing since to play any of these games.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, that is part of why the arcades kind of died, right? Because it's like, I can have this experience without having to have this giant cabinet in front of me. I can go and play Metal Slug with my, Pro Controller, and everything's convenient, but I don't know.
It's your fault.
What'd you say?
It's your fault. This is why arcades died. This is why High Scores is going to die. It's because you like sitting on your couch with your Pro Controller.
It's your fault. You're older than me. You let them die.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is on you.
Mm-hmm.
You calling me older than him? You taking his side?
You are.
I mean,
you are. You're older than all.
I know
Oh
in this
my
day
God.
I know in this day and age facts aren't allowed, but numerically,
Yeah.
the number is larger
Yeah.
on your end.
This is not.
This is atrocious.
This is not
I'm
the
56,
place.
The way
just for
I'm
those who
being
are wondering.
treated.
There's enough mental gymnastics going on in the world right now. We don't need more.
I have you either you ever been to somebody's house that had an arcade cab?
I don't believe so. No.
Okay.
I don't think so. Most of the people I've ever known have gone from my memory.
Okay. Yeah, it's the kind of thing that's it's like it would be cool for a party. Like if you had people over all the time, multiple people.
Oh, I
If
don't,
you're
I don't know
careful,
about that.
and
Yeah.
if they
had
wash their
parties.
hands.
Yeah.
Then because otherwise it's just not going to get that much use.
Well, I would play it. That's what matters. I'm
You-
not. I'm not getting this.
I really
for my
believe-
friends or family.
I really believe most people who buy arcade cabinets do not get that much use out of them. I will give a shout out to my friend Ryan, who has multiple cabs at home, or at least he did. And he was big into shmups, shooting games, and would try and get, high scores on them and try and clear them. Like he spent a lot of time on those machines. I don't know if he still does or if he just mostly moved on to other pursuits. But for most people who just kind of are driven by nostalgia, my hunch is that a lot of them don't really give their machines that much attention long term.
Regardless, I mentioned in an earlier podcast, I think it might have been the Pokemon one or something like that. I didn't even let my high school boyfriend borrow any of my games. So I'm not even really thrilled at the idea of having a party and being like, oh yeah, guys, you want to go play some arcade games? I have the cocktail cabinet or whatever.
Excuse me, but are you breathing near the machine? Mistake numero uno.
I would probably just tell people it's broken. Sorry, I have to.
It doesn't work in your hands.
This is
weird.
good. Earlier you were complaining that
Look weird.
formerly 510 Pizza, now called whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Failure pizza.
Yeah.
It was like you were complaining that the machines were broken or not accessible. Or
Yeah, because of
Yeah.
weird
and,
hands.
and now you're scheming to present arcade machines as broken or otherwise
Well, yeah.
inaccessible. You have
because
like
I
a
don't-
velvet. You bring people over and you got a velvet rope around the cocktail cabinet.
Well,
I don't
the
trust people
peanut
with my
gallery. The peanut gallery can go use the old busted up ones. My
Yeah.
pristine one, they can look at from a distance of 3 feet. The only social distancing I need.
So right here, this is why arcades are gonna die.
No, wait, hang on. I'm not the arcade owner.
yeah,
I'm not the arcade owner.
Yeah, I just need to show up.
Nonsensically
No, not just
opens
that.
up an arcade
Both
and then
of
says,
you-
"Oh, you can't touch
both
my
of you
machines."
are lamenting that arcades are gone, and
Yeah.
then both of you are ugh, other people. No, I don't want them anywhere near me.
Let's just be frank here. My hatred of my fellow man is what it is.
Yeah.
But I would still like to see the arcades thrive.
Well,
They can be there, and I'll be at a distance.
that's
Hello.
just
Just kidding, I don't want to talk to you.
in practical terms, those desires are incompatible.
I'll make it work.
Okay, I hope you do.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't like people.
I know.
And yet you and I have had plenty of experience. I am over here lamenting the loss of a good pizza place and those memories of when we'd be there and there'd be a bunch of people in there playing machines and it was crowded and you get the smell of cigarette smoke, from the open door, sitting there playing the machine and I miss that.
That's one of my absolute favorite smells in the world.
Yep.
Cigarette, tobacco in the air.
Yeah, both of you have this weird
Makes me think of Reno.
fondness for absolutely disgusting smells. Angela likes the smell of gasoline.
Indeed.
Yeah, gas smells great.
She probably likes nail polish remover.
I do.
That's not a bad chemical smell.
All sorts of disgusting chemical
Sharpies.
smells.
My early 90s Ninja Turtle plastic wallet, that had a real powerful chemical smell.
Yeah,
It was
Yeah.
great.
These are all disgusting.
Catalytic converter.
I will say
yes.
most of these smell worse than cigarettes, but they
Particular
all
types
smell
of exhaust.
pretty
Certain
bad.
types of cigar.
Yeah, cigars, that's another good one. Can't stand the smell of weed.
Yeah. No.
Ugh.
Skunk.
Especially on a rainy day, good God.
Oh my god, it's horrible. And
Look,
also
I don't like the smell of weed either, but
and also there's a difference between cigarette smoke in the air and someone who smells like an
Yeah,
ashtray. That's
true.
The clinging
entirely
to body
different.
cigarette
Yeah.
smells, no bueno.
No.
Most of these are still better than like particularly bad BO, but like all these chemical smells that you love are still just atrocious. Like,
I mean, you don't even like good smells. You don't like perfume. You don't like body wash. You don't like room scents. Nothing.
He
I-
bathes with a smooth river rock, just so you know.
I don't dislike body wash. I don't know where you're coming from with that. I
I
don't
know.
like
I said the smell.
the bad chemical artificial smells that are needlessly added to body
See,
wash.
look, this is exactly what I'm talking about.
Gotta live a little, man.
Yeah.
I live plenty.
You need that cucumber wintermelon
Mm-hmm.
body wash. I just want to know who's sitting and reading these things on like beauty packaging, and it's like, it's infused with mandarin orange. It's like, oh yeah, that's gonna make a real difference right there.
Hey, don't point at me.
I'm pointing at you.
I go for smell, like the avocado cactus pear.
You
or
don't
whatever I'm
just
using
go
right
for
now.
smell. You get like weird, like that St. Ives scrub you got me. Doesn't that have like?
Oh, you mean the face scrub?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, the one.
Doesn't that have like botanicals
well,
or whatever?
You were concerned about dry skin, so
I was
I
making
got you
fun of
the exfoliating, the one that has like the yuzu and the
Yuzu.
grapefruit or something like that.
I was making fun of Dove the other day because they have these commercials they've been running on the local sports station for their plant-based men's soaps. I'm like, I can't think of a single man who's like, so is this a plant-based soap?
I can think of plenty of such men.
I don't know if they're listening to 95.7 The Game, though.
Sports radio.
I don't know. Like, clearly Dove thinks there's some overlap or some market opportunity
They're
there.
like, it's in the Bay Area.
Yeah,
They're probably
yeah, no,
listening.
yeah. There you
Anyhow.
go. That's the market.
Do either of you have any other things you want to say about arcades?
Konami, quit annoying everyone. We need those turtle games back. And you need to relist the Simpsons arcade game somewhere.
And Konami, maybe just rethink your entire purpose right
Yeah,
now.
that's a whole separate
Konami,
problem.
double down on pachinko and merchandising. You're on a great path.
The exercise facilities, their gyms or
Oh,
whatever.
and slot machines, right?
I think so,
I
yeah.
think they ventured into slot machines.
I do think that arcades, it's part of the bygone era at this point, but I think the preservation efforts are cool. I think it's nice that at least if you can't play the for real arcade machine, that there are like SNK has just been mining their back catalog. You can play all these different games on like your Switch or your PS4, and that's cool.
You can also just play it on MAME. Multiple arcade machine emulator.
Don't mention that in front of Billy Mitchell. Take you down.
I think as long as I'm not accusing Billy Mitchell of fabricating scores in MAME, I don't think he's offended by the existence of the software.
I don't know. Billy Mitchell might take him down. There's nothing he can't do.
Just squirt his Billy Mitchell hot sauce in their eyes.
All right.
Strangle them with his Billy Mitchell flag tie.
You guys gonna support me getting hair plugs, and then I'm gonna grow the Billy Mitchell hair and maybe go get the beard going?
No.
Oh, I can't be Robert Mitchell.
No. Billy Robert.
Billy Robert.
No, I mean, yeah, I guess my closing thoughts are just that a lot of my cherished childhood and teenage memories are either from arcades or places that had machines, and I just wish that they were more of a thing. And maybe I will seriously consider my earlier proposal to open up my own arcade or establishment that has machines.
I wish you luck and also wish that you would focus on more profitable enterprises.
She could do vintage fashion / the arcade machines.
Yeah, open up my vintage fashion shop and have an arcade cabinet there.
How many Angelas are in the world that would want?
You never know. And you can call it the 8-bit salon.
Yeah, this would impact both of us as it is our future, so maybe I have to think more seriously about this.
Maybe you have to think more seriously.
We'll run it out of the apartment here. It'll be like a speakeasy.
We're not going to run it out of the apartment.
That's the knock to get in.
All right. So, Angela, you're going to run your own arcade / vintage clothing shop.
That's right.
Robert, you are going to think
Frequent
about game preservation and do nothing about it.
I do plenty. You have not seen my closet.
And I'm probably just going to keep playing games on MAME. And we will all together just, think fondly of, think of the good times that we had with the dear departed American video game arcade.
So the next podcast is when we become famous, because 7 is when all the quitters just fall off a cliff.
The next podcast is when we become above average.
Oh, well, take
So-
that, charlatans.
So far, there's just been one of us above average, and the two of you have been dragging us down. But one more episode, and as a unit, we will be above average. Okay?
So for episode 10, are we going to talk about PSX? Because, X, it's like a 10.
No. If you recall, when I tried to discuss what we'd be doing for podcast episodes, you both just told me to like come up with a schedule on my own.
Yes. What a glitch.
So-
Glitch right there.
Uh-huh. So no, that's not currently on the schedule.
Oh.
I think we only have the next 2 or 3 planned out on the schedule. So after that, we're gonna have to, and we can reconfer. It doesn't have to be Zack picks everything again.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Well, this has been some inside baseball that probably should have been cut out of the episode.
This is what makes it fun.
Yeah.
Regardless, you've been listening to the 7 Minutes podcast, named after the amount of inanity and nonsense I have to edit out of each episode.
There's only 7 minutes worth of actual content.
7 minutes.
7 minutes.
It's named after Albert Wesker, for those of you who haven't listened to the first couple podcasts.
Well, enjoyed talking to you both. I guess that's about it. So thank you for listening. Again, this is a 7 Minutes podcast, which you probably know if you're listening to this. We'll be back in another couple weeks.